Hello guys, today I'm going to be giving you my take on your 2022 MLS Cup final, and enjoy. So personally, I'm a Cincinnati fan, and I hope that they manage to win the cup. Now that might not seem very realistic or possible, but recently they've really picked it up, so I'm going to give it a chance that they might actually be able to pull away with some big defeats, possibly on Philadelphia maybe. Alright, so we're going to start on the western side here, and you got LAFC that already has a bye, and then next you have LA Galaxy versus Nashville. Now recently, I think LA Galaxy has done pretty well, and Nashville I think got robbed in their last game of a free kick, but I'm going to give it to Nashville because I think that there's a good possibility that they come away with a win there. And honestly, I'm hoping for Nashville to win there because that's probably, if I had to choose the West team, that I like the most. All right, going into the next one, we have FC Dallas versus Minnesota. Now, this is what I think is going to be a pretty easy game for Dallas. Now, Minnesota has picked it up recently, getting a good win on decision day, and they managed to get a 2-0 win, which I think was great for them, but I just don't think they're going to be able to take down Dallas here. Alright, the final game of the first round of the West is Real Salt Lake versus Austin, and I'm going to go with Austin because all I've seen from Salt Lake really is they versed Cincinnati, and Cincinnati ended up crushing them in the last game they played together, so I'm going to go with Austin for that one. And now we're going to move over to the Eastern Conference. So on the Eastern Conference, Philadelphia, of course, has a bye because they were number one. And then the second game, I think, really could go any way. I mean, New York Red Bulls and Cincinnati are very even teams, I would say. But I think that it's a good chance that Cincinnati could pull away with it. Recently, they picked their season up. They were in 9th place, I think, a few months ago. And they have just been on an absolute storm rampage. And I think that it's a good possibility that they could come out with a win on the Red Bulls. Like maybe 2-0, 2-1. That would be a score that I would hope for them. Alright, now moving to New York FC versus Miami. This is probably the most debatable game for me. Like, they seem so even. And Miami has been just balling out for the past few weeks. They were 9th. Now, then they just shoot all the way up to 5th. And then, sadly, they lost pretty badly on their last game on decision day to Montreal, which puts them in 6th. But I give it a decent chance that they could probably pull away with a victory on New York. This game is going to be very close of all. I think it could definitely go into penalty shootout. I think it could go into high overtime. But I'm going to give Miami the edge here because they have just had so much hype around them recently, and I think that they could pull away with it. Now going on to the final match of round 1, Montreal versus Orlando. Montreal has been at 2nd place for as long as I can remember in this conference. They almost managed to edge out 1st place in the conference. Just like 2 more wins, they would have had it. And Orlando, who was sitting in 5th for most of the season, dropped to 8th and then barely managed to get a win on Columbus Crew, which personally, I don't think it should have been a penalty, and the keeper almost saved it. So I don't think Orlando really deserves to be here from how they've played recently, which is why I'm definitely going to give Montreal a good win here. I think it's going to be a solid 3-0 win, something like that, because Orlando has just not been having a great final season. Alright, going over to the conference semifinals here, you have LAFC versus Nashville. I think this could be a relatively close match, but I'm going to give the edge to Los Angeles because I just think that they have just had a great season. I think they're going to continue their season. And now probably one of the hardest match for me to decide, your FC Dallas versus Austin. Now, these teams are extremely even, I would say, and I could see it going either way. This is going to be a very close matchup, but I'm going to give the edge to Austin here. They've just performed extremely well over the past few days and weeks, and I think that they could pull away with a win on Dallas. Now going over here, my team Cincinnati versus Philadelphia, number one. I think that it is possible for Cincinnati actually to win this year. I know it may sound crazy, but the last time they versed Philadelphia, well, one of the times they versed Philadelphia recently, they ended up beating them 3-2. So I think that it is possible that Cincinnati could edge a win here. I think it really depends on how they perform in this game. If they perform very well, get a good win over New York Red Bulls, I'd say it's possible for Cincinnati to make it to the conference finals. Alright, in the final match of the conference semifinals here for East, Miami versus Montreal. I think this match is going to play out how it played like their last match on decision day. I think Montreal is just going to absolutely destroy Miami. I don't think Miami really has the time to get prepared for Montreal, and I think Montreal is just going to continue their rant and just destroy them. Alright, now in the conference finals for West, I'm going to predict the LAFC comes out with the win on Austin FC. I mean, really, no one would be surprised with that. LAFC has just performed so well. I think Austin just won't quite be able to get the strength to be able to overpower them. But I think that Austin will have a great season, making it to the conference finals. Now, on the other side here of East, Cincinnati versus Montreal, I think that it is actually possible for Cincinnati to get a win here versus Montreal. I would give it a 30% chance that Cincinnati manages to get a win. And since they're my team, I just have to go with them. And now for the winner of the MLS Cup, I'm going to have to go with LAFC because they have just been such a great team this year, and I think that they will win. Nonetheless, I would love for Cincinnati to get a win here, but honestly, I think that LAFC might just be able to pull away with the MLS Cup victory. That is my opinion on how the MLS Cup 2022 is going to go. Now, I know that Cincinnati, first of all, no one's going to pick Cincinnati past their conference semi. Nonetheless, maybe even round one. But I think that it is possible they could make it to the MLS Cup based on how they've played so far this season. Now, let me know your opinion in the comments down below. What team you support, what you think your predictions are for this season. And I'll see you in the next one.